You see, they believe that an evil entity rules over the earth, and they are practitioners of discovery religions. And they associate that evil entity with outsiders. Atheists, on the other hand, believe that a godless totality exists. And they associate insanity with outsiders. They think the outsiders are insane, deluded. I have a little bit of a different take on things. I feel like people are attracted to discovery religions because they suggest truths about their set of living arrangements, or they once did suggest truths about their set of living arrangements. But really, you could argue even today they suggest truths about our living arrangements, because in the United States of America, which is where I'm at right now, and the state of Hawaii, and the city of Honolulu, most companies are kind of authoritarian, aren't they? The dictatorships. It's their way, whoever the CEO and shareholders are, it's their way or the highway. That's it. It's not democratic. We don't have democratically run businesses, do we? We've got kind of a dictatorship. Every business is set up like a dictatorship. So that's very similar to the good entity rules in heaven, the good entity is at war with an evil entity, the evil entity rules over the earth. So within their own little bubble, which we'll call their business, they rule. But the earth is ruled over by outsiders, who are, and outsiders are representative of the evil entity, or the evil entity is representative of the outsiders in the minds of practitioners of discovery religions. So there is a lot of ways that these pessimistic myths suggest truths about our set of living arrangements even today. But it was more so when the world was ruled over by emperors and kings and princes and tyrants of all different kinds. When there were psychotic extremes of poverty and wealth. When there was a religious elitist society, and when there were slaveries and wrongs. When this was going on in the not too distant past, check your history books if you want to know the details. When this was happening, let's say during the time of the Roman Empire was what? A slave empire. It was an empire built on slavery in large part. And it had an entrenched aristocracy, and out of that socioeconomic milieu, out of that, and basically out of the came Christianity. And a lot of people believe that Christianity was invented by the Roman Empire in order to pacify militant Jews in Palestine and elsewhere. Because remember, they basically took that over pretty quickly. They had the whole Mediterranean under their control for a long time. And part of that was what we now regard as Palestine, or I don't know what they called it back then. But basically, wherever you looked back then, there were kings. So these pessimistic myths very strongly suggest the truths that existed, truths about their set of living arrangements back then. Not so much with democracy, though, right? So this is why some people will say, well, people who, practitioners of discovery religions, members of communities of faithful believers, can sometimes be heard claiming that all manner of social ills are the result of democracy, a large middle class, and pluralistic, secular pluralistic society, and freedoms and rights. And they want to take all that away so that they can win the culture war. This is what is going on in our country right now. We got a bunch of slaves. They call themselves evangelical Christians. They have their institutions of spiritual slavery. They're slaves in search of a master. Right? They want to be mastered. They're collaborators in search of a tyrant. And not only that, their religious authority figures say there's a certain inevitability. Right? It's inevitable that the good entity will have final victory over the evil entity, and we can assume what they mean by that is the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people who rule over domestic territories will have final victory over the outsiders, meaning the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people will rule over the entire earth. So there's this prophecy of the inevitability of the triumph of the good entity over the evil entity, the triumph of the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people over the outsiders. And any, insider and outsider is a matter of point of view. Domestic territory and foreign territory is a matter of point of view. So the few paranoid, oppressive, violent people in every territory can imagine themselves to be the representatives of the good entity for whom prophecies of a final victory apply. So that's weird to think about. And that's really just shows the power of this illusion that's been created. And that's what it is in my mind. It's just an illusion. It's born out of the fact that people want to be able to use their senses and perceptions to confirm their belief in the value of their ideas. They can use their senses and perceptions to confirm their belief in the value of truths, because we can use our senses and perceptions, we can verify that truths are truths. Truths are true. We can use our senses and perceptions, we can verify that truths are true. They can use their senses and perceptions, but they cannot verify whether or not myths are true. They cannot verify whether or not myths are false, because myths are both unverifiable and unfalsifiable. They're possibilities. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. So, they can use their senses and perceptions, but they cannot confirm their belief in the value of myths. However, myths can suggest truths. And for some people, the act of suggesting their truths is enough for them. They use the act of suggesting their truths to confirm in their minds the value of their pessimistic myths. So this is why the most natural thing in the world for people to do is to believe in the value of pessimistic myths.